I love music. I was 8 years at EMI. I love the industry. I love the artists. And I always felt that it had an issue with diversity and transparency.
And you wanted to change that?
You know, I thought that I was the right person to come in and to make it the best it could be. And so it was on the diversity side, but also on the transparency side.
You're saying that in some cases, the nominating process has the involvement of people who have an interest in the nominations, artists who might be nominated are in the room.
Absolutely.
And not just the artists, it's the people who have business affiliations with the artists as well.
Could represent the artist. And I will say, because this is really important, it's not the fault of the artist, it's the system that's broken. I was so shocked when I got there of the level of sexism and corruption that I found at the Recording Academy, a public not-for-profit that is there for the artists to represent them in this community, to do service. It is, Rick.
And is it because of the influence of people who have power? It's
because of the influence of a few people with power that insist on this system.
And what about the allegation that artists have made that it is predominantly white, that the decisions are being made by males? Is that true?
It is true. It's predominantly white males that call the shots.
The Academy says the allegations that you're making are utterly untrue. The Academy has rigorous and well-publicized protocols in place to ensure that voting is absolutely fair and free of conflicts of interest. For Ms. Dugan to suggest anything to the contrary is simply not true.
Ask them if board members are in the room. Ask them if artists are in the room for their own category. Just ask them.
Let me just try to clarify what you're saying. You're saying that some of the artists who are going to be on stage on Sunday night may have gotten there through improper channels.
That is true.
Not most, some.
Not most.
What about the people that should be there? Are you saying there are people who should be there who aren't because they got blocked out?
I'm saying the process is not the right one. And the specifics of who's in, who's out, I'd rather not go into. But
you get specific in your filing. You say Ed Sheeran and Ariana Grande did not get nominated for Song of the Year because someone else did.
When you move somebody up, somebody comes out. And I was in the room and I did see that happen.
Will you say who took their slot?
I will not.
It's not fair to them.
Okay.
All deserving great artists. This is so not their fault.
Have you heard from Ed Sheeran or Ariana Grande's people or them?
No, I have not.
When you took the job and you started looking at the books, what did you find about the financial situation for the Academy?
I'm a lawyer, so going to the first board meeting, I reviewed the financial statements, and it seemed that there was a ridiculously high amount going to lawyers, certain firms, and certain individuals. And so I did raise that and say, you know, why is that? I immediately felt a little retaliation. Well, I'm going to be honest, a lot of retaliation for bringing that up.
Pushback?
Major pushback. So I kept, like, systematically, by the way, in all of these complaints, trying to work from the inside. I would just bring them up and say, you know, perhaps we could look into this.
Were they wasting money?
There's a lot of money wasted on the Recording Academy on corruption that should be going to service.
What do you mean by corruption?
Because there's self-dealings of people getting good deals and financial benefit, and that if you look at other not-for-profits doing the same type of thing, it's irregular and it's too high.
Last November, you gave a presentation about diversity and inclusion to the board. What was your message there?
My message was quite, transparent and blunt in that there is this culture of distrust. There is this culture of lack of transparency. We have a serious, serious problem with diversity, and that's with women and people of color. And I actually showed statistics. I showed statistics on the membership. I walked through how do we get from this culture to better culture, where we're transparent, where we're artists first, instead of board companies' self-interest first. I was very, very clear.
How was it received?
They asked me to leave the executive committee meeting, and I've been on many boards. I've just never had that happen to me. And they proceeded to meet and have a kind of secret committee without me, which was one of the things I said, let's not do that anymore. Let's not be like that. And so that was very jarring.
You say in early December, December 9th, the board stripped you of most of your responsibilities.
So the board on December 9th did a mandate letter, I'd call it, where they said you shouldn't do any projects. So I'm the CEO. You're not allowed to do any projects for, I believe it was a 2-month period. You are not allowed to use any other outside counsel but the ones prescribed by the leaders of this organization. And at that time, they said that Neil Portnoy's, the prior CEO's assistant, had a complaint against me.
Your former assistant paints a very harsh picture of how you were as CEO. The president now, the interim president of the Academy now, recently said that she detailed serious allegations of a toxic and intolerable, abusive and bullying situation.
Let me say that, and I'm proud, I'm 61, I've been a CEO for a long time. I have never had a complaint against me from HR. I have never filed a complaint in HR. Every assistant that I've ever had will come out and say, perhaps that I was the best boss I ever had.
Were you abusive?
I was not abusive.
Your former assistant files a complaint with HR. Then you, weeks later, send an email to HR, right, detailing some concerns you say you have. The Academy says you waited to send that email because you were in trouble, because you had this complaint coming at you from your assistant.
I had raised concerns all along, and do I believe that they used the situation of a simple redeployment of the prior CEO's assistant to manufacture a crisis to come at me? 100%.
In the email you sent to HR, you actually said, I don't want you to do anything.
I did, because I still, believe it or not, had hope that we could work these things out, that we could systematically collaborate and work it out.
From December until last week, were you negotiating to try to get out, to try to leave?
I wasn't trying to leave the Recording Academy. I was in an unbelievably uncomfortable situation once they slammed me in the press and made this leave.
You said you were forced to this.
Yes.
Forced by what?
Retaliation. How could I have them go out and tarnish my image and stay quiet? Just stay quiet. Because I'm afraid? Because there's the Grammys on Sunday? I wouldn't want to in any way taint those beautiful, beautiful poetic moments and great music that's going to happen.
The Academy says you have. They say, we regret that music's biggest night is being stolen from them, from the artists, from the board, or from the members of the recording industry by Ms. Dugan's
Let me just make it really clear. This is so not about me. It is about those that have long time suspected that the Recording Academy has a corrupt sexism culture and that there are certain things that are blatantly not okay.
What do you hope happens? Because of what you've done, you've thrown a bomb on your way out the door.
Just let me say, it's not my bomb, it's their bomb. They're the ones that started to take away my CEO responsibilities, and they wanted me out. And this is retaliation right before the Grammys. I didn't pick the timing, they did.
You just raised something that I wanted to ask you. You talked about the show, the actual production of the Grammy Awards. Are there artists who are nominated for Grammys because the producers of the show, the Grammy show, want them to perform?
There's undue influence. I would just say there's
So they get a
influence.
leg up sometimes if they're an artist that they want to perform on the show.
The artists, again, are not involved in any of the process of corruption. I can't say that like stronger, loud, clear. They have no idea what goes on behind the scene.